teams, and we're going to go in depth in today's position spotlight, looking at those specialists. Brought to you by Pilot Flying. Jay and Josh, we hear coaches talk all the time. It's about all three phases, and this is one of those three, and a very important one. We got everybody returning. Austin Seibert, he is your kicker. You take a look at him there working on his technique. You've got Charlie Hewlett, your long snapper, entering his 6th season as the Browns long snapper, who's never missed a game in his career, and the Scottish Hammer, your punter. We talked about what a great rookie season he had. Same with Seibert. How good is it to have that kind of continuity?
It's awesome. And when you look at all three of them, your punter, your kicker, and your long snapper, they have to have and boast consistency. Not just consistency with just, being healthy. We don't care about that. We want them to make the punts. They have to make inside the 20. That's what the punters like to do. Punts inside the 20. Kickers with Seibert, he has to have a high percentage of kicks made. The attempts that you make, that's why we called the last person that wore this number Old Faithful. The percentage has to be high. You don't want to have to watch the kicker kick and kind of, cross your fingers. You want to be able to say, okay, let me get ready for offensive defense. He's going to make that play. And then when it comes down to Charlie, you have to be 100%. It's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Consistency is what all three of these guys boast.
There's no doubt. He talked about Austin Seibert, the 5th-round pick of the Browns last season, and he came in and he made 25 of his 29 field goal attempts, including a perfect 15 of 15 from inside of 40 yards. Now, extra points, 30 of 35 last year. And you've talked about all the time on the show how the extra point is no longer that chip shot. They moved it back to the 15, about a 33-yard field goal, and that's what Seibert wants to get more consistent on. He's doing a cool drill right here where he's actually kicking it from one corner of the end zone, trying to kick it to the other straight down the line, as we see Mr. Hewlett there looking jacked, number 47. There he is, Charlie Hewlett, our long snapper. But you have that battery, so the timing is now something. Listen, Scottish Hammer had never held before last year.
Right, and you'll look at their warm-up protocols, and if you ever had a chance to come to a game early and sit in the stadium, the kickers, they'll just stand back and kick the ball without taking a run. They do certain things, and each of them have their own routines that they have to get themselves prepared. They'll come out here a whole lot earlier than everyone else to make sure their legs are better, are loose, so they won't have any injuries, because that's all they use, their foot. That's their money.
That is his money, and you saw Charlie Hewlett there. You mentioned consistency, like I said before. Entering his 6th season, he's never missed a game for the Cleveland Browns. Now let's talk about the returners, because this is the one area. The Browns are one of the best coverage teams. You think about guys like Tavier Thomas and Tay Davis and Kadero Hodge, who are a huge part of the Browns coverage teams a year ago, and I bet Jacob Phillips and Grant Delpit, some of the rookies, are going to add their names to that list this season. The Browns were excellent there as the ball comes over here, almost over the red line, close here to our set, as we see Charlie chasing after it. But now we're going to take a look at the returners. That's what Mike Prefer said. We want to improve. We want to be more explosive. And it starts with the two guys you just saw on your screen, number 11, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and number 19, JoJo Natson.
So when you're talking about them wanting to be more excited about this special teams unit, they have to go to the returners. And you talk about Hilliard and D'Ernest being kind of thrust into the return situation. That's what, if you look at that battle that's going on, that Hilliard has, Dontrell has over D'Ernest is returning, being able to catch punts and return kickoffs. But JoJo Natson and Peoples is what this team is moving towards. Those are the prototype for what it is to be a returner, not just in the NFL, but on this team. It's what this team needs to give them that edge, that field position. No, we don't just want to take it at the 25. We want to command the field position. We want to challenge teams and make them have to run down in the field and cover punts and kickoffs. JoJo Natson, and led by Peoples as well.
And JoJo Natson has been the returner for the last 2 seasons for the Los Angeles Rams, averaging about 24 yards per kick return and averaging about over 10 yards, really almost 11 yards per punt return for the Rams. And he was their return of the year. They went to the Super Bowl when they faced the New England Patriots. As for Peoples-Jones, freshman All-American at Michigan as a returner, 2 punt return touchdowns in his career there. And they're different guys. JoJo Natson, small, quick. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 6'2", big, strong, fast as well.
And when you're talking about both of them, okay, the more you can do. I was a gunner on this team. I ran down on kickoffs. I did punt returns, kickoffs, kick coverage, and I was able to go out there also on a field goal block. So you're talking about the more you do, which one of these athletes do you have within these two guys that can do more? And my bet is Peoples-Jones because he's a bigger body. He's probably faster. Being as though his size, not faster, I meant stronger, and he's be able to use more. You can use him around the field. He'll probably line up at gunner because they will have to play him on Sundays. He'll have to line up at kickoff cover. He's a bigger body. He's a 1 or 2 running down the field to make a play. Not so much when you're talking about JoJo Natson because he's a smaller frame, and those bigger returners will have an opportunity to run over him. So when you're looking at these two, who can play more for this team? Who can help out this team better? JoJo Natson may be the shiftier punt returner, your prototype punt returner, but he's not the 1 or 2 or 3 wide receiver at this time. So my bet right now is Donovan Peoples is in the lead in this race.
Donovan Peoples-Jones has size that you did, and as you said, sometimes that's what you need, that strength to get through those arm tackles, whereas JoJo a little smaller, a little shiftier, a little quicker, and sometimes you have to imagine can kind of hide behind the blockers and be a little bit difficult for the defense to see.
Definitely, and I didn't, it's no shade at JoJo Natson about being the 1 or 2 number in receiving. He can develop in that. Again, injuries happen, people's spots are taken, but again, what you see right here on the field, this training camp, this essentially is preseason. So if you see a guy like Peoples catching touchdowns and catching a lot of passes, the coaches may like him because he's taking reps. And then you see the 1 or 2 quarterback going to him. So you'll see the rate of passes at which who receives more passes. That'll let you know. And that's a telltale sign of reps. It's a telltale sign of the quarterbacks liking them.